See?
Yeah, but I only use I only say the top page when I was doing it.
This one?
Yep, so I do that one, and then I would do that one.
And there's another one, actually.
Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't do any of these. These
Hey,
are
Holly?
just for us
But
to
there's
review.
this, there's this one.
the Board of Selectmen's meeting of July 10th. Just a few things before we begin the meeting. I want to make sure everybody knows it's on the agenda, but we should announce it every time. This meeting is being recorded. It may be shown live on the local broadcast channel by Shirley Media, and it is being recorded for the internet as well. If there are any audience members here who wish to record, and this is the open meeting law, you may not record without requesting permission from the chair. So if anybody wants to record, you have to let us know. I am going to take a couple items out of order, just so you know. I'm going to do the in memoriam first, and then I'm going to do the appointment to the Neshoba Technical High School second, and then we'll go right in order after that. So without any further ado, I'm your chairman, Holly Haas. Jim Wilson, vice chairman. Rico Capucci, member. Clerk.
I just hang around. I'm just there.
Clerk.
I do the wallpaper and whatever
yeah.
they want on.
So over the past year, or since January, I noticed that we had lost a number of people who have worked in government or volunteered in government. And I wanted to recognize them and the boards and committees that they served on, and observe a moment of silence for that time. If I miss somebody and you notice I've missed somebody, just send me an email and I promise I will get to them the next time. I'm doing the best I can in finding out who and why and all of that, but I want to make sure that if I do miss somebody, it's not intentional. So I'm going to read the list, and then we will just observe a moment of silence in memory of these people who gave their time to the town. And I'm doing them in order by when they passed away. So Kyle Cady served on the Board of Assessors, Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator, Shirley Youth Baseball Program. Janine Forrest, Senior Work-Off Program. Doc Forrest, Senior Work-Off Program. Jeanette Albert, Secretary and Treasurer of the Council on Aging, managed the MART buses, published a monthly newsletter for the seniors and the Shirley Health Committee. Randy Fredericks, Senior Work-Off Program. Donald Reed, Council on Aging, and Shirley Historical Commission. So if we could observe a moment of silence. So next on the agenda, we're going to do the appointment to Neshoba Technical High School alternate member, and this is a joint appointment with school committee and the town moderator.
May I come join you?
Yes. Just make sure you talk into the mic so that you can be heard on.
We'll share.
Yes.
Yeah. I put it in your hands.
Oh, I didn't realize I was leading this meeting. Good evening, everyone. I am Karen Luddington. I have the honor of being the town moderator, and I am one of the people responsible for filling this particular position. I have seen an email from the gentleman who's interested in doing it, but that is so far all I've seen. We have not met. You are?
I'm Jonathan DeForge from the school.
For your school committee. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize Air Shirley Regional. I won't say how old he makes me feel. So is the gentleman with us tonight who, would you like to come up, sir, so we can interview you? You might need to use that mic, but
You can take it.
you can stand or you can sit, but.
That's fine.
So, good evening. You've heard the names of the folks here.
Yes.
I'm Karen, the moderator, and you are?
Brian Fulmer.
Mr. Fomer, hi. Thank you so much for coming. Did you bring a resume or anything with you?
No, I wasn't
All right.
told
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, my name is Brian Fulmer again. I moved to Massachusetts about 6 years ago from Ohio. We moved up for my wife's work. She was transferred up here. I am currently a safety manager. I manage 7 consultants throughout the eastern United States. And one of the reasons why I became interested is one of my client contacts that I work with, he's part of the Neshoba Valley Tech Board out of Westford, and he thought I would be a good fit because I do safety. I helped him with safety consulting and, stuff of that nature. I do have over 20 years in safety. My degree out of college is in safety, so he thought I would be a good fit.
Industrial safety?
Industrial construction, transportation, you name it.
So you have an interest in a technical high school?
Yes.
Did you attend anything like this high school yourself?
No, actually, when I grew up in Pennsylvania, we had wood shop, metal shop, welding, drafting was all part of the curriculum in high school. And I took 4 years of drafting, 4 years of metal shop or wood shop, 3 years of metal, and 1 year of welding. And when I started out of college, my first job was a safety manager of a commercial roofing contractor. So I essentially did roofing for 10 years and did safety with them.
A lot of great experience there.
Yes, it is.
Who would like to ask any questions?
Do you have any children in the school?
No, I don't have any children currently in the school. I have an 8 and a 12-year-old. My 12-year-old goes to Parker, and my 8-year-old's still in Air Shirley.
Okay. Nothing major. You saw that it was a need and you stepped up to the plate?
Yes, I'm a big believer that we need to have shop classes in our school. I think trades, I see that with a lot of my clients. They're really hurting for tradesmen, or tradespeople, I'm sorry. They look for people to run, to be the machine operators, to, do the heavy work, and there's just no one out there. And it's because kids aren't going or doing shop classes in school. So I feel that's it has helped me.
Okay.
I couldn't agree with you more. When I went to middle school, and I grew up in the next town over, Lunenburg, and back in the day, and it wasn't that far long ago, 5th, 6th, and 7th graders, we had shop, we had woodworking, metal fab, stuff like that, learned how to use power tools, and
Right.
I think we have gotten away with that, and I think that our youth growing up today need to learn to be at least semi-independent, that you're not, it's nice to hire someone to do something, but when you haven't learned core skills, electrical, plumbing, taking care of your own household, I think you're in a deficit. So I think I agree with your philosophy completely.
Yeah, that's the big reason.
All I would say is it's refreshing to see somebody new come in to help the town. It's usually the same people, but we're trying to motivate younger people and people that have an interest in our community.
Right.
So I'm very pleased to see someone like yourself come forward.
I'm pleased to do it.
And thank you.
Any
Appreciate
questions?
No, just a thank you for stepping up. I mean, I kind of got into it the same way, just volunteered on the superintendent search committee and then got hooked to it. So it's fun. I'll warn you, there could be a time commitment, but
Oh, no,
Otherwise-
I'm already aware of that. So.
okay. But otherwise, thank you very much.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, I don't. Just looking forward to it.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have.
Could I have a motion? Or since it's a selectmen's meeting, do you want someone to make the motion?
I believe somebody else should make the motion, yeah.
All right. I'm comfortable nominating Mr. Fomer, did I get that
Yes.
last name right? As the new school committee member.
Second?
Your vote?
Aye.
Karen?
And I vote aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Welcome. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you so very much. Let us thank him. And before I get away from the mic, I'm going to make a plea. We have, at the moment, technically 2 vacancies on the Finance Committee. I have found one person to appoint, and I'm so thrilled. But we still have another vacancy on the Town of Shirley Finance Committee. So I'm hoping people are watching this meeting. My name is Karen Luddington. I can be reached via Gmail. I think my email address is on the town website, I think. And so please, if you're interested, folks, in serving the town in that capacity, we need good folks on the Finance Committee, and I would welcome a call or an email from you. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next item on the agenda is a statement from the Board of Selectmen and Thomas Goulden. I will tell you that I am going to read the statement. We are taking no comments on the statement. This is an agreed-upon statement from both parties. So, Shirley Police Chief Thomas Goulden and the Shirley Board of Selectmen jointly state that they have mutually resolved their employment differences. As such, both parties feel that this resolution remains in the best interest of the town of Shirley. As I said, there will be no comments on this. This is a statement that we agreed upon, and this is how we will leave this at this time. And now we'll move on to item annual appointments. Oh, wait a minute, sorry, I lied. Public comments. Public comments. Do we have any?
What exactly does that mean? Is he
It
ever
means
coming
that
back
we've-
here, or,
It means we've reached a resolution. And
but
that's
he's
when-
not the police chief anymore? Okay.
Okay,
Is the town of Shirley hiring a new police chief? Is that what-
as we move forward, you'll see what's on the agenda, yes. Okay? Do we have any other public comments? Okay. Then I'm going to move on to the annual appointments.
Madam Chairman, I move the following people be appointed to the following boards or positions, all terms to expire June 30th, 2020. Leonardo Gershio, the Zoning Board of Appeals. Darren O'Hanison, appointment to the Police Search Committee. Kevin Kelly, appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Lee Merkovic to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Joshua Badarian to the Zoning Board of Appeals. James Quinty to the Police Search Committee. Kristen Denoncourt to the Police Search Committee. Samuel Santiago to the Police Search Committee. Patrice Garvin to the Police Search Committee. And that would be it, although I may have missed one at the start.
I think you
I
did.
think I
Did you
doubled
get
up on somebody.
Laura Prescott?
I believe that is correct, that I missed that. Laura Prescott to the Zoning Board of Appeals. These terms all to expire 6/30/2018, or if the selection process and the question of the Police Search Committee is completed before then it would expire.
Actually, the Zoning Board of Appeals, Leonard Gershio was 6/30/2020. Laura Prescott was 6/30/2020, and Kevin Kelly was 6/30/2019.
And I stand corrected.
Okay, sorry.
Madam Chairman?
Do I have a second?
No, I have a motion. Do you want a second first?
You
I have
have
a
a
motion.
motion?
I have a motion.
A second motion?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Second motion is I would ask the board to consider putting Father DeRosa, who is interested, on the Police Search Committee.
Mr. Capucci, I feel that if we were to do that and you were gonna reach out to the religious ecumenical committee, that it would be unfair that there are other pastors or other denominations are faced in this town, and I don't think that just to have the
Okay.
Catholic Church represented is a fair and equitable. We tried to come up with a cross-section of the community of business owners and
I
people
only,
that-
just for your
and-
info, I only did that because he's been on it for years, and that was the reason I did that. But if it pleases the board, I'll withdraw the motion.
Madam Chairman, in your discussion, feeling?
I believe if you make a committee too big, you run into a problem, and this is a large committee. I think that if he had said earlier prior to this, or if we had had it in here before, I think it would have been different. So I don't really have an opinion on it as far as it goes. I like Father D, and I would be fine with it, but I think that where we've already made the motion and where there isn't, he hadn't put it in before, that we're hearing it just now. I
withdraw
yeah,
it.
okay. So do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay. Your
My
vote?
vote is aye.
And your vote?
And I vote aye.
Okay, and I vote aye. Town Administrator's Report?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The Main Street Bridge construction should be starting this week. I know I put will in the initial report. We're getting conflicting start times, so we're planning on utilizing the electronic sign to notify residents of the project. So as soon as I get a definitive schedule, we'll put it online, and we'll use the electronic sign.
Yeah,
So.
get it on Facebook, let
Yeah.
everybody know as
Yeah.
best we can, yeah.
The town clerk has informed me that he would like to add a non-binding question to the debt exclusion election being held on September 12th. Currently, the planning board is working on bylaws for marijuana. As the board knows, many towns have placed moratoriums or created zoning bylaws to deal with the changing legislation around this issue. The town clerk thought it might help the planning board to understand what the residents of Shirley would consider in regard to the marijuana use when drafting the bylaws. I will be working with council to draft questions and presenting it to the board sometime this month. I will be holding a department head meeting at the end of the month of July. This meeting will focus on the beginning of the new fiscal year, as well as go over policies and procedures. Finally, last time, if you can give one to Rico, Holly has one. I met with Jamie Mertz of Screen Gem Productions, who is currently filming a movie around Shirley. There is concern regarding the second movie date of July 14th and the summer concert occurring at the same time. Jamie is here to go over the map and the plans being presented if the board has any concerns.
Can you come up, Jamie? So I'm gonna tell you my biggest concern. On Friday, there's a funeral.
I know.
At 1 o'clock. After the funeral, Mr. Reed will be buried at the Center Cemetery, and then there will be a celebration of his life at the Center Town Hall.
Of course.
So, and that, the plan is that will be until about 5 o'clock. Mr. Reed has worked in our community for a long time, and they'll be doing a display of his paintings, and he's painted just about every building in this town. And so it is, in honor of him. So I want to make sure that that is not interrupted at all.
Of course.
And they should be done by 5.
Yeah.
So that, that's my key thing. And from what I see of your map, it won't interrupt the concert that much because you're not filming on the common.
Yep.
So you're just looking for an area that we say nobody parks there for the concert.
Exactly. So we know that the loop around the Shirley Meeting House is used during those concerts as parking, and we want to respect that. I have 3 vehicles that I would potentially like to put near the old town hall, but it would not be until after 5.
Okay.
And it would be a food truck, a small box truck, and a van. These are our catering vehicles. They essentially they would be making our lunch, which I believe on that day would take place at 11 p.m.
Okay, we'll be done by then.
Yeah. If we do get there earlier than 5, I'm having them park at a different location until 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Essentially, I'm telling my crew, I'm letting them know that we do have a funeral and an event in the old town hall. We will not have access until 5 o'clock.
Yeah, and the town hall will be open, throughout the concert. If it's rain, the concert would probably move over to the meeting house.
Okay.
So, and people would move into there. But the town hall, are you using the town hall to feed everybody, or will?
Yes,
Okay.
as a feeding place.
Okay, so you'll be all set in the town hall, but the bathrooms will be available to anybody at the concert?
Yes.
Okay, then we're good.
Fantastic. Great.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks. Okay, we're gonna move on to new business. And the first line of discussion on a new business is police chief, on how we're going to go about moving forward. And my goal in this discussion is to allow everybody to speak of where they think we should go and how we should move forward. And so I open the floor to discussion from,
Let me say, based on 37 years on the job, 20 as a chief, I think it's imperative, Jimmy and I have worked with chiefs, that there's always leadership in the department. I will make a motion this evening, whether it's taken or not, but let me say before I make the motion, after everyone has spoken, that we had an opportunity to watch Sergeant Santiago, now the acting chief, sit in a chair for quite some time period and run the police department, taking a salary of sergeant and not asking for extra compensation. Although it was said by the board that there would be compensation through stipends. My personal thought on that was that he displayed a real commitment to the community. I've watched him handle the job he has. He's out in the community, he works for the people in the community, and that's exactly what I think is necessary in our town. This is still a small town, it's not a big town. And it's a town that you can reach out to people, and I think that's really important, and I think he shows that. And I'm basing that. I have appointed, and I was looking at it last night, 15 police chiefs, and have been very successful with 14 of the 15. And I look at him and I think that he's young, he's aggressive, he's going for his master's degree, he is a fine representative of his community, and I think that he comes from a law enforcement family. So that would be my wish, not my wish, but my goal would be to make a motion this evening to appoint him as the Shirley Police Chief. I think it's time to move on. It's been a very difficult time, not only for the board, but for the officers in the department. And I think it's time that they find some guidance and some organizational structure that means a lot to them. So that would be my thoughts with regards to a motion that I would put on the floor. As to whether or not it's accepted, that's up to my colleagues. But I feel very strongly about that, and I base it on my experience. I don't base it on my wishes or desires, but on my experience.
Jimmy?
I do echo your sentiments as far as I appreciate Acting Chief Santiago stepping up from February on and taking on the responsibility of running the agency. But I also temper that with, we've been through 2.5 years of turmoil, and although I think Acting Chief Santiago is more than capable, I think that there should be at least time for pause before we take the next move. There's no exigency to have to make an appointment tonight, and I just think that there should be some term of reflection from the board, or taking input from the community as to where they want to go in respect to who the candidate, the officer chief of police is, and or which direction the community wants to go as far as how its police services are provided to them. That being said, my motion would be that Acting Chief Santiago continues in his role as acting chief, and that the board either come up with a committee to find out where we want to go, and or have a retired chief or someone that has reference qualities that we're satisfied with, at least to run the agency for a short period of time. I just do not want to make a snap judgment tonight, so I'm not comfortable doing that at this time.
I only would disagree with the word snap judgment.
I'll take that back, Mr. Capucci. I don't want to make a decision tonight. I think there should be input from the community.
Well, I'll put a motion on the floor and we'll see how it goes.
Well, actually, I get a turn.
Right. I didn't say you wouldn't, I just
So
do that.
I'm going to say overall, I've gone back and forth on this issue. What do we want to do? How do we want to move forward? There are many, many, many things that I've seen Acting Chief Santiago do, and I would not entertain any motion to bring in anybody outside at this point in time to run the department. I believe that he's doing a great job, and there are many things I like. I like the outreach to the community. I like the fact that he has, you know, he's by the book. I agree with that 100%. I don't know if I would want to make a decision tonight, but I would not remove Sammy from that. And I agree. I believe input from the community is important. I would like to hear some input from the community, from people in the community. I would not put anybody else in there. I would not go to an outside service. I believe that should happen here at this table. Sammy, I mean, I know everybody would love it that he was appointed immediately tonight. He's held this position from February on. So I know that everybody would like it. I would like just a little bit of time. I wanted to hear both what Mr. Capucci had to say and Mr. Wilson had to say, and then move forward. I will not, I won't, just, you know, I won't vote for anybody else to take the position. And I don't know if there's a change. If we made him an interim chief versus an acting chief, is there a difference in what it's called?
I don't think so.
I kind of think when you say
But
acting
there's
There's a
chief,
solution to this, I think.
They both mean temporary.
Yeah.
But there is a solution too, and you can make two motions here. One, to make the chief, the police chief in the Shirley Police Department. And the caveat to that is that he would have to work out a contract with Mrs. Garvin and town council.
and the
that-
Board of Selectmen.
I didn't get there yet. I'm getting there. And this is the norm, by the way. This is normally how it would be done. Mrs. Garvin would sit with town council, would make, after his appointment, an agreement that he would work for the town under certain circumstances, his contract, in other words, and that contract then would be placed before the Board of Selectmen. And the Board of Selectmen then would make the final determination. But in the meantime, he goes into his office 1 or 2 minutes from now or an hour from now as the chief and says to the employees, I am now the chief. I run the department, and we will then have time to evaluate how he does as the chief. He's given all the tools to do it, and we have the obligation to look at the contract that Mrs. Garvin puts together with town council and make a decision that this is, what we see is correct. It's gonna take a while for them to put a contract together. It's not gonna happen in 2 or 3 weeks. It's gonna be something that we're gonna have an opportunity to sit down in executive session, look at the contract, look at the chief. He may like the contract, and he may not like the contract. But it's really up to this board as to whether the board likes it or not. Having said that, with your permission, I would put a motion on the floor. And my motion would be that we offer the chief a 3-year contract to the Shirley Police Department with the caveat that he accepts the contract, that the Board of Selectmen, after study by town council and town attorney, accepts and promotes at that time, under the contract, Mr. Santiago to the chief of the Shirley Police Department. That would be my motion.
I can't support that motion at this time.
Okay. Give me a minute to think.
Take your time.
Chief, can I have you come up here? I would like to hear what your goals are. You can have a seat, you don't have to stand. Can you give me an idea of what your goals are and what you see?
My goal is to get the department back to normalcy, have some type of leadership instead of this acting position. I think the problem is that at the time, people were wondering what's going on. I myself was wondering that as the acting chief. So I think we need some type of stability. We need to know who's in charge, You know, is it me, is it somebody else? Who that person is, we need to know who's in charge. And that's how I look at it. You know, obviously, I don't expect a decision being made tonight. I wouldn't want to make that decision either. So I respect each member here, whatever decision they make, you know, I'll abide by it. My loyalties lie with the town of Shirley. Chiefs come and go, selectmen come and go, town administrators come and go. I've seen that. I've been here 14 years and I've seen that. My loyalties lie to the taxpayer, the person who pays my salary. That's who I'm loyal to. So I expect whoever makes that decision to do the right thing.
Okay. So what I would like to do is, I'm not going to make the decision tonight. Rico, I know you want to make the decision tonight. Would you consider continuing as chief, as interim chief? And we'll come back, we'll revisit this in about 2 weeks and make sure that gives everybody time to really sit down and talk with you and go through what we have. I mean, we just made a whole bunch of changes, and I know everybody would love everything to happen today, but I don't think life happens that way. I think that I just want a little bit of time. I am pleased with what I see. I want to move forward the right way. I want to make sure the decisions that I make are the right decisions.
Did I
And
get a second on the motion?
no, you didn't.
I did.
So, can we revisit this? Can you give us your goals and objectives,
My goal is, like I said, stability in the department to move it forward, to get the training that we need. You know, I know we're coming up to firearms training. That's something that we normally do in the fall. You know, my goal is for just to get equipment that we need, like active shooter. We have patrol rifles in the cruisers. We've always had them, but my goal is to get like tactical vest with the ceramic and Kevlars, because we don't have that. So what good is a police officer going into an active shooter situation, wherever that may be, if it's a business, school, at the post office, if they go in with a patrol rifle, but they don't have anything to cover their you know, their head, their melon, and cover their torso. So I have some ideas. I got, you know, some community policing things, what we did. We recently did the pizza with the police. I want to do something, coffee with the cop, or, you know, ice cream with the cop. I think those community outreach programs, I think, are great for the community, to see us in a different light instead of enforcing and arresting people, because that's not what we're about. I mean, we have other things that we can focus on instead of just, you know, locking them up and throwing away the key.
Can you also talk about you have the drop-offs, and you had also mentioned to me something about a senior thing that you were looking at?
We currently, with gracious, with Middlesex attorney Marion Ryan, we were able to get the medication drop box. If any of you folks have been to the police station recently, that was donated by the Middlesex District Attorney's Office. I reached out to them, a training that was done for the police chiefs. It was a couple hours, and I attended, and I was able to get a medication drop box. They also offer a senior medication lock kit that I'm working on. So basically what it does is a senior citizen who's living with somebody else, a child or a family member, doesn't have access to the medication, they can keep it locked in a lockbox. Those are provided to any resident at no cost to them. I'm working on that program right now.
Okay. So we will be moving forward. I would like to put this on our agenda in the next 2 weeks, and that each of you come forward with something that you can really bring forward. You have already, Rico, and I don't disagree. I really think you've done a great job, Sammy, under really, really not great circumstances. I want to see our board come together, and I believe that every officer should know that they're working for the town of Shirley, not for, like you said, chiefs come and go, selectmen come and go, town administrators come and go. I know that too. I've been here a long time. So I want to make sure whatever decision we make is the correct decision for the town. And I will look at all my options, and I believe we should bring it back at the next meeting. In the meantime, what we do want to do is talk about compensation. And should we do it here, or should we wait?
Well, right now, he's getting the stipend. he received it June 30th, right?
Correct.
For fiscal year 17, so all the work he's done as acting chief from February to June 30th, he was paid out.
Because
At the end of
they,
this
they had to do it.
We
It's
had
just,
to do it
Yeah.
by law. So it would work the same way. Once the acting chief ends, he'll get another stipend.
So that means that now he just gets paid sergeant's pay.
Correct. Unless you guys change it, and then it's whatever gets negotiated.
So can we enter?
Yeah, you can change it now.
Yes, yeah, do I have a motion to change it?
To what?
It would be a grade 14, step 1.
Grade
On
14,
the-
step
on the
1?
chart?
On
Yeah.
the, yes,
I'll make that motion.
Yes.
My motion originally, when Sergeant Santiago was made acting chief back in February, was to be entry-level police chiefs, whatever that grade and step was, so. And I would renew that motion again, that while you're in that position, that you're absolutely entitled to that grade and step of money.
do I have a second?
Second, yes.
Second. Your vote?
Aye.
Your vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
thank you.
So, and we will revisit this at the next meeting. We look for input from the public. We would like to hear from you. So if you have an email, you can email me, email the selectmen. I think it's important that we get the input. And if you want to call my house and leave me messages, I'll listen to them.
Yeah, I will reaffirm that as well. I'm just not prepared to make a decision. I'm absolutely satisfied with the job that Acting Chief Santiago has done. I'd just like to get some feedback from the community. I mean, I haven't heard anything from anybody. I would encourage phone calls, emails. I mean, aside from the core group that's here, that obviously has, made their wishes be known to the board. But, at least a couple weeks to see where the community wants to go. The town of Shirley is not just the people that attend these meetings here, so I welcome all kinds of input in there.
Anything? I will take public comments, yes. If you want to go. Yeah. Hi, Dave.
Dave Brand, Benjamin Road. With all due respect to the board, the police department's been in turmoil for a long time. We've seen a lot of police chiefs come and go. I think a lot of guys, in any kind of position that they're in, they like to see some kind of movement for their own careers. I think he started out as a patrolman here. He's a sergeant. He's been here 14 years. He's not going anywhere. We really need to look at him as a success story in the town of Shirley. He's going to be here a long time. He's a young man. And that's what we want to see. We want to see the department. I don't want to see somebody come back into the town of Shirley that doesn't know the town of Shirley. He knows the town of Shirley, and that makes a huge difference.
And I agree with you. And my feeling overall is that I would not look outside. I would look within.
I think we really need to do
Yeah.
that.
And
We need to bring the stability, and we need to bring, advancement opportunities to the folks that are working for the town of Shirley. This is perfect, so
Yeah.
I do appreciate
Yeah,
what
thank you,
you guys
Dave.
are doing.
No, and like I said, I'm asking for 2 weeks. I don't think I'm asking for a lifetime.
No.
And
If I may speak, I don't have a problem with that. I didn't expect any decision to be made tonight. I wasn't sure what was going to happen tonight.
Yeah.
So, I'm happy to continue serving the citizens of Shirley in the capacity that I'm in right now. And whatever happens, whatever decision's made, regardless of what position I'm in, I'm still going to serve the citizens of Shirley. So that's how I see
We
it.
appreciate that, thanks.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I can do this. Maureen Pylon for Davis. I've known you all, the 3 members, for a long time. I don't know how people can sit up here and say, you haven't had time to think about this. You haven't had time to hear people what they think and how they feel about this. This department's been in turmoil for a long time. Just not with the police chief situation, past practice situations. And it's time that we give somebody the reins, let him take it and let him get everything under control. Because you know what? Until he has that chief badge, and he can get that department under control, I don't feel safe in this town. I really don't. And I'm bringing a grandchild into this town. And I'm sorry, Jim, to point you out, I love you dearly, but you being the liaison to the police department, I really expected a lot more from you in your decision. I really did.
Maureen, can I?
I have nothing else to say. I'm just very disappointed in the members of the board. We expected an answer tonight. We've waited long enough. And I know the people that sit here week after week after week after week, and we wait and we wait and we wait. I sat here with double pneumonia, waiting for answers, and did the recall and did this and did that and jumped through hoops. And this is, it's disheartening. It's not fair. Not only is it not fair to us as townspeople, it's not fair to Sergeant Santiago or Chief Santiago, and it's not fair to the guys in the police department who want to do their job and do it right. It's not fair. It's time to bring us back together as a town.
And we're working on it.
But we should have had some answers tonight. We should have had them tonight. You guys have known about this for a long time. It's not like you haven't. I know you guys have had a lot on your plate, but you've had time with Golden knowing this was coming up tonight. It's been on the agenda for a while. I've been watching it. I've been following it religiously, daily, watching changes and this and that. So it's not like you haven't known. I'm sorry, Holly.
I know.
But
that's okay.
It's not fair. It really isn't. And I don't think it's fair. You know, Mr. Pucci's trying to put somebody who at least has a head on their shoulders to put our town at least where I can put my head down at night and know that my family is safe. You know, I don't feel that way at night, I'll tell you. During the day I do, at night I don't.
I think the other thing is, and I want to say this to the board and to the people in the audience, I think there were some people in town that had this all figured out, who Capucci was going to put in charge of the police department. So let me make this really clear to everybody in this room. Capucci puts who's best suited and best for the town in the police department. And I will stick by my motion. He should have been the chief tonight. I think as a board, I know you knew, but sometimes there's tough decisions that have to be made. This is a tough decision. But in my opinion, this is a necessary decision. That department is in turmoil, complete turmoil, and it needs leadership.
And really, truthfully, I have to say that I believe, Acting Chief Santiago has been bringing leadership to the department, and I believe he will continue. He just told you he works for the town of Shirley. I'm asking for 2 weeks. 2 weeks to get public input, and I don't think that's a wrong thing to do. And yes, Susan, come on up.
I think you're missing my point. I wasn't saying that he wasn't doing the job. What I'm saying is that the patrolmen that work for him aren't doing their job. Get in your cruisers, do your job. That's what I'm saying.
Susan Baxter, Hazen Road. I first met Officer Santiago right after we moved into this town in 2003. He was the first police officer who came to our home when we set off our own burglar alarm. And he was very nice then, and every time I've run into him since then, I've been very impressed with his professionalism and his courtesy and just his manner. I think it's wise of the board to just take a breath, not for 6 months, but for just a couple of weeks. I was actually surprised that you were going to bring it up again so quickly. That's how I sort of took it. Because of the fact that this has been such a difficult time and there have been so many issues going on, and I think tonight was the sort of non-announcement about the police chief's position, at least to me, and I think it's very wise, having put that on the table and letting people know that what the situation is, and now take a breath and think about who or what you want to do next. I think it's wise, so that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Susan. Hello, Jim.
Hello. Jim Yoakum, Lawton Road. I appreciate the fact that you need a couple of weeks to settle things down, and I respect the fact that you want to take a breath and make sure everything's right. I just want to say on behalf of myself and my wife that we're extremely impressed with Acting Chief Santiago. We cannot imagine a better officer for that role. We sincerely hope that he's professional, he's approachable, he's everything that it seems we should have in a police chief. I think the town would be profoundly well represented by having him be our chief and lead our force, and we hope that you select him in a couple of weeks.
Anybody else?
Maria Almany, Cottage Street. I really respect Officer
It's okay.
Santiago, Chief, yeah, all of
Just
the above.
Sammy's fine. I don't.
Sam, I know, it's easier that way. When I first met you, it was during the elections, and he was just the best guy for the job that day, very personable. He's cookie cutter chief, if you ask me. If we could duplicate this man for the rest of this country, we would be a lot better off. And when I hear him say he likes to come in and know who's in charge, that kind of got my attention. So it's got to be stressful, and if you say you can wait 2 weeks, I can wait 2 weeks. And I know you'll do your best, and you've heard some voices, and I'm sorry there aren't more people here to support you, but the ones that are here really do love you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Marie.
Pam Torres, Benjamin Road. I agree with Marie, and if Sammy can wait 2 weeks, then I would agree with that. But I would not be happy as a resident of this town if it took any longer than 2 weeks. It's hard enough for him to go in there as acting chief and get the respect that he already deserves from the rest of the officers in that station. And I think the longer you leave him as acting chief, the less respect.
And I agree with that.
So, I mean, I really think that 2 weeks, we're going to hold you to 2 weeks.
You know where I live.
I know. I know. Because he's...
Hold you to 2 weeks, and then everybody...
Because he deserves that.
Yes.
You know? I mean, we can only imagine what he goes through every day when he walks in there. And I wouldn't want to do it. You wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But he's willing to do that for the town.
My hope this evening is that I would have heard opinions that would give me ideas of where everybody stood. Like I said, I've gone back and forth on the issue, and I believe that Acting Chief Santiago has done a fabulous job, and I'm very impressed.
Yes.
And I've known him for all the 14 years that he's been here, because I've worked with him through the collector's office. So I'm very familiar with him, and I know he's by the book, and I know he treats everybody the same, no matter what. And I appreciate that very much.
And so do we. We all appreciate that. Thank you.
Gaynor?
Gaynor Beagleback, Catacoonamog Road. I also want to say how much I would like Acting Chief Santiago to become permanently chief. I understand, but I do understand that you're wanting this breath, and I respect you absolutely, Mr. Carucci, but I think it's strategically a very good idea, because yes, you have your core group. I'm not one of them. Right? I show up from time to time, but I'm not one of the core group. But I think strategically it is a great idea to make sure that the town has a chance to have their say. Hopefully they'll say it in public. Hopefully they'll say it to you rather than behind you. And then we can all move forward. I think it's a great idea to ask for that feedback. I know it's been a long process, but
yeah. Yeah, and I have some laws to read too, just so you know. There's a bunch of laws involved here too that we have to go over in the process of it, and I want to make sure I've read them well. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody else? Okay. So we are compensating you. That was the other reason why we had it on there too. So I thank you for coming in, Sammy. And I will be in touch. I will sit down and talk with you
Okay.
later this week. If you don't mind, I'll give you a call and meet you. Okay?
Great.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Next, we have a discussion on the tax collector treasurer's office and the restructure of the office. So,
Okay, so a couple of things. So as the board knows, Vicki Smith, her last day was Friday, so we're currently without a treasurer collector. I reached out to Sean Cronin, he is the head of the DOR today, to let him know
Yeah.
my concerns regarding the difficulty in hiring this position. This is not a Shirley problem. There are probably 8 towns looking for treasurer collectors right now that are paying well over $100,000, and they're having trouble attracting these positions. It's not something that, you know, somebody goes to school and says, I'm gonna be a treasure collector when I grow up. It's just not something that happens, so.
I didn't say it.
Right, so it's one of those things people kind of stumble into.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking about is, he had suggested some ideas of having somebody come in temporarily, just to kind of get us over the hump. The hump being FY17. We need to close the books, we need to reconcile every month from pretty much the beginning of the fiscal year. Cash is fine, that's not the issue, it's really just reconciling with what the accountant has in her general ledger. That's a lot of work. And doing payroll and doing collections, as you know, Holly, it's starting to mount. And when you don't have the right people there, it gets even bigger. So he had suggested a couple of ideas to go after an interim. So
Yeah.
I can look at that tomorrow. The other idea was attracting a candidate that's gonna come to Shirley that has the experience, and thwart them from going to a larger community that pays a little bit more. So what I had thought is doing something similar that we did with the accountant's position, is you put a salary in place. Right now, the personnel board, we graded that position to a grade 11, step 1, which I believe is about $63,000 a year. We were paying the previous treasure collector about 70. What I would propose is going with the step 11, grade 1, advertising it, but advertising it at a minimum of 30 hours, where we're not necessarily giving the salary, but we're giving flexibility. And flexibility in this day and age with, you know, all the craziness, people tend to go towards that. I'd like to see if we can get somebody with experience, given those parameters. If we don't, then, you know, we try and figure something else out. That would be a 30-hour-a-week benefited position in that office. And then the other thing we could do is create a union position, which is a 19-hour-a-week, to add to some help in that office. That's what I would propose doing, and then trying to find an interim in the meantime, trying to get a plan in place.
And we are still advertising.
Yeah, the both
MMA.
positions are up, but they're very vague. We haven't put anything on MMA. If we do go to MMA, I'd like to put, you know, the 30 hours with the salary and then a part-time and see what we get. Once you put it in MMA, you're gonna get more interest.
Yeah, Rico.
Well, the only question I have is, you've talked about this before. Do we have a tax collector and treasurer? Because we've discussed that before, and if we're gonna, I'm okay with the interim, I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
But do we actually have that position? And I wanna hear from you on that.
We
Are you talking to me?
No,
Well, no, I've
I mean,
always,
she's the one that said
yeah,
to me she doesn't have it.
we have, really truthfully, in reality, they're 2 separate positions being held by one person.
Correct.
So it's a treasurer and a collector, they're being held by one person. You know, I mean, some towns have treasurers, and collectors, and separate them. Air actually has a treasurer, collector, town clerk, but she oversees an assistant treasurer, an assistant collector, and assistant town clerk. So, you know, there are pros and cons that go with each part of it. The reality is it's two separate positions, but one person would hold both positions. I have a personal feeling about it. I believe the two positions should have remained separate, but at this point in time, this is not how the office is set up. And I think right now, the important thing is that we get somebody in there to serve the people, because right now we have a very, very, very new person trying to do all the work and then being helped by others. So we need to move forward there.
Yeah, I will add too, when I spoke to Sean Cronin today, he had stated that the state is very interested in this issue of treasure collectors and is actually trying to form a committee with the governor to get something in place to start to attract a pool of candidates for towns. So, I mean, it's on the radar of the DOR.
So I think what Patrice is saying is we aren't the only town dealing with this, that there are many towns that are in a situation where they don't have a treasurer collector, or they're trying to get a treasurer collector in. And that's where your money comes from. That's the flow of your income. If you don't have somebody handling that office, you're in trouble.
Right.
Jimmy?
No, nothing.
Nothing? So do we want to move forward? Do I hear a motion to move forward to reach out about finding an interim?
Yeah, that's the first step.
I'd make the motion to move forward now.
Okay.
So that Mrs. Garvin can search out an interim that can be helpful to us.
Yeah.
Second.
Second, your vote?
Aye.
Your vote, okay. So you have permission, and do we want to change the ad to, or do we want to look at it a little bit more? Do
We can, if I'm looking for an interim, we have some time. I will say though, just to add, Sam is 37.5 hours a week. I've increased her to 40, just so we can have the office open 40 hours a week.
Okay.
And there'll be room in the budget for that.
And we're gonna look for some people to come in and help.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yep.
We thank Sam for stepping up to the plate,
Yeah.
because it's gonna be a
Oh, yeah.
ride. Next on the agenda is the FY 2017 transfers.
Sammy, yeah. Jimmy, can you give one to Rico, please? So this is what is going to be proposed to the Finance Committee tomorrow night. As the board knows, the above transfers are allowed by Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 33B. They require only the majority vote of the Select Board and the Finance Committee. No department head approval is required. So, at the beginning, at the top of this page, you'll see transfers 2. Those are the balances that we needed to address. The total transfers, and this includes snow and ice, so is $74,118.54. And the second column there is transfers from. I will say that at the annual town meeting, we had a snow and ice deficit. If you remember, we only took $50,000 that we had previously set aside towards that. This now will cover that, so we don't have to raise it on the recap, and we don't have to use any additional free cash in the fall to cover it. So this is a good thing. We cover our snow and ice, and now if we have a good winter, we can move forward.
These are funds that are left over at the end of the fiscal year in these budgets?
They have potential deficits, yeah, transfers to.
I mean, the budgets that you're transferring from?
Yes, those have money
Okay.
in, yeah.
So these are items on the budget that were left over, and these departments have all been, this is money that normally would go into free cash?
It would just flow to free cash.
It would
yeah.
just, so instead of flowing to free cash, we're using the funds to take the deficits from other departments?
Correct. And behind the sheets are each request we're asking for that you can vote on separately and then sign.
Okay.
So you can do them one by one.
Any questions?
No, this started when I was on the board 10 years ago. We came up with that idea under Mr. Cady, and it was a percentage. I thought it was 1%.
They changed the law.
They changed it.
Yeah.
Thank
Best
you.
thing they ever changed.
But I knew we did do that.
Yeah, they used to
and,
hold you to a
It made a
percentage.
difference, because what it does, it sets us off on an even keel for the
Yeah.
next fiscal year, and that's a big thing. Instead of digging a hole, we're on an even playing field, so it's a really good thing.
Jimmy?
You confirm
And I
motion?
can explain each one if you want explanations.
Do we want to read them off?
Yeah, you want to do them one by one?
Yeah, okay, so Rico,
Yep.
or one of
If you
you.
want to
I'll
do it,
I'll do it.
by this.
Transfer,
Yeah.
transferring wages
If you
from,
use this, if
from
you
what?
use this, it's better.
Yeah, use
Either
the
way,
separate
doesn't
sheets,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
Transferring the wages from budget line to be transferred from 1,000-251 dispatch. Transferring from budget line to be transferred to 1,000-211 PD wages. Total sum of $6,800.
So
Need
I
a
will,
motion on that?
just so I can explain, we remember in annual town meeting, we put money in dispatch and wages.
Mhm.
We over budgeted dispatch, under budgeted police, so.
okay. Do you want to do one motion? You want to read each
One,
one?
yeah, 'cause the finance
motion
committee's
at the
gonna
end?
do- One motion at the
Yeah.
Okay. And then the approval of the Board of Selectmen for the next item is a budget line to be transferred from 1,000-241 inspectional services and from 1,000-221 the fire department for a total of $1,750. The next motion is for budget line transfer, 1,000-155 computer operations and 1,000-122 selectmen's expenses, $14,350. Also, budget transfer from line 1,000-155 computer, that's a repeat.
Yeah, that's a repeat.
That's a repeat.
Yeah. I don't know why that's in
You just
there.
did that to see if I was paying attention.
No,
I know you did.
no.
Anyway, budget line transfer, 1,000-141 assessors and 1,000-192 public buildings, the sum of $2,431. Next transfer from the budget line, 1,000-176 land use, and also a transfer from 1,000-292 animal control for the sum of $900. The next transfer, 1,000-422/424/426 and /491, along with a budget transfer from 1,000-423 snow and ice for the total of $45,687.54, which clears up that account, is that correct? That's a big
That's
a big
huge.
thing.
Yep.
Transfer from 1,000-715 debt, and also transfer from 1,000-611 library wages, $2,200. And there's an explanation in there, I guess, I think it's.
Oh,
should
for
be
that
known.
one?
Yeah, the wage account deficit, the explanation provided by library director to accounting office was that the longevity was not budgeted, that was her
Yeah.
reason, but the money's there.
Yep.
Okay,
Do I hear
Sorry?
a second on the motion?
Second.
Your vote?
aye.
Your vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So that takes care of those. So we have the Board of Health.
Yeah, they
yes,
asked to table that.
They asked to table it?
Yeah, next, at the
Because
next
there's
meeting.
some interesting,
Well, they couldn't all be here.
okay, all right, so we'll table till next week.
Yep.
So next on the agenda is the town website. Ally, do you want to come up and talk a little bit? I'll talk with you, and Gaynor. So. So Alexander McGuan, Alexander Began, Gaynor Beagleback. And we're going to talk about the town website. I think what we would like to do is move forward with a new website for the town. But I would like them to let you know what the communication committee has talked about.
So we have talked about having the current, I guess, company that runs and maintains our town website come in and kind of revamp it. They run a lot of other local town websites, Ayers, Chelmsford, Greenfield, New Hampshire, and just the difference is night and day between our website. So I think it would be really beneficial, and I think my peers agree with me.
I do, but I don't get to vote.
Right.
Gaynor, you.
Yes, so we just want to make it more user-friendly, because at the moment it takes time for pages to load and it can be hard for people to find information. So that's part of why we wanted to revamp it and to be part of this move to make Shirley seem a more optimistic place.
And we did get a quote. We went out and we got a quote from another company that was way above what we spend right now. I think it was $10,000 to redesign the website and $3,500 to maintain for yearly maintenance. Virtual town hall will continue at the present amount, which is $2,400 yearly maintenance. The cost to redesign the website, and it is a redesign, is $6,000, which can be placed, which we can pay over 2 years, over 3 years, rather than paying it all at once. So we would pay $2,000 per year.
So let me ask you this, because any redesign is gonna cause multiple changes. Are they gonna charge us per change?
No.
Or is that included in the 6?
It's included in the 6. It's a redesign of the website. Basically, the information we have now will be placed onto the website, and we can make some other changes as we go along.
Okay. Are there any other fees involved?
No.
Okay. I know you asked, I'm just.
I know. I'm finance.
Okay. Yeah, we can absorb that into the IT budget.
And that was my request, that, 'cause I would need a motion to allow us to allow the communication committee to move forward with the redesign of the website at the cost of $6,000, payable over 3 years. And the yearly, I might as well make the stupid motion at the rate I'm going.
Yeah, just make sure they invoice us right, that's all.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll take the chair, and you can make the motion. Do you have a motion?
Okay, I move that we allow the communication committee to move forward with the redesign of the Shirley website at the cost of $6,000, payable over 3 years, $2,000 per year, and the regular yearly maintenance that we already pay, and that they can begin the process now. The money would come through the IT budget.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
I vote aye.
Mr. Wilson? And I vote aye. Okay, all set. Okay.
We have selectmen's comments or liaison reports. Does anybody have anything? No? Jimmy? No? Okay, I added correspondence. One of the reasons why I added correspondence is we do get emails, and I would like to acknowledge some of these emails that we get so that people know. On June 27th, we received an email from Jessica, and I'm going to butcher her name, and I want to just let you know that I'm going to do it. It's F-I-L-Z. And it has to do with the fact that we had requested speeding on Patterson Road. There's been speeders and there were issues, and we're trying to, and I know that everybody's looking at covering anything. And in the letter she wrote, and it was a speeding complaint, she wrote, "Good morning. I just wanted to send a quick thank you for the absolute amazing response to my email. Not only have we seen a presence of the cruisers, but this morning we woke up to find the radar trailer parked out front. It has already made a huge difference. Thank you again." And that was for the conversations and stuff where we had asked that it move forward. We received a public records request, and we have forwarded it off to town council from Brian Dumont. We have a letter from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in regards to an appeal that is being reviewed right now, that that we are charging for the public records requests if they require above the normal amount of work. And we also have something that's being worked on right now for a complaint with the dog officer that is in process right now. Not a complaint, but an issue with some dogs that is being worked on. And let me see, I think that is, hold on, let me make sure I don't have anything else here. And you already looked into the issue on the pothole on Squanicook Road?
Actually, I'm not really reported back on that.
Okay, but, well, I know we're checking into it. So if we receive an email through the Board of Selectmen, we're going to forward it on to the department that it goes. So if it's something that's, I want to make sure that we always do that. Any emails that you sent will be forwarded on to the department that has charge over that issue. I'll usually respond. I believe Jimmy has responded, and I know Rico has responded. So if you send an email, we will get back to you on it. And I think that's, except the Mart Advisory Board thing, have you been looking at that? Okay. And I think that's all I have for correspondence.
I don't receive your.
You
emails.
don't receive them?
Nate gets them.
So can we make sure, Nate, will you make sure in the future, anytime you see anything, it gets forwarded? Thank you.
No. I don't know why.
And then we have, next on the agenda is minutes of June 5th, and you all have to be kind to me. It's my first meeting as chair. So I'm working my way through this. Minutes of June 5th and minutes of June 26th. Do I hear a motion on them?
Motion to accept June 5th and June 26th with the exception that there was just a minor date issue on, I believe on the 5th when it talked about the MCI impact monies, and I think we've corrected that, fixed
I
that.
think it has been corrected.
Yeah, other
so-
than that, I was set with it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Your vote?
Aye.
Your vote?
Aye.
So June 5th and June 26th. And the treasury warrants?
I have mine. There's one.
Way, actually.
There's two.
Thank you.
And four. That was it, right?
Madam Chairman, reference treasury warrants, voucher number 2537 for $28,041.21, dated 7/7. Voucher number 6111, dated 7/5/2017, $5,982.19. Voucher number 2017, dated 7/7, $580. Voucher number 131, dated 7/5/2017, for $167.23. Voucher number 6262, dated 7/5, $58.01. And voucher number 6261, again 7/5/2017, for $814.86.
Do I hear a second? Your vote?
Aye.
Your vote?
And I vote.
Okay. With no further business, we have an executive session that we're going to close the open session and move into executive session. Jimmy, could I hear a motion on the executive session?
Madam Chairman, I move that we moved into executive session as of 8:15 on July 10th to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel and to conduct collective bargaining or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, specifically discuss police and clerical union proposals. Discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining and litigation if an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the bargaining and litigation positions of a public body, and if the chair so declares. We have pending litigation regarding Shirley Police Local 205 in the town of Shirley, Alfreda Cromwell suspension, second one for Alfreda Cromwell demotion, and a third for Alfreda Cromwell termination, and Cromwell versus the town of Shirley, MCAD 16 BEM 00653.
Second.
Your
Aye.
vote? Your
And I
vote?
vote aye.
And I vote aye. So we'll move upstairs.
Thanks for coming, thank you.
We're moving to executive session, and we will adjourn.